I hear people say the ticket price way too high, so they not going home, but not me. Even if it's me alone, I will take a fishing boat on 95 days to reach down there. People say the costume cost a arm and a leg. Oh God. Well, I will have to take a loan, but I'll be there for you.
Personally, when I started music, I started by singing on stage by myself, you know, in the junior Calypso Monarch competition. When I started in Signal Band, I started as a guitarist, and there was a point where the band felt like, Shelly, I was shying away from my true responsibility, which was to be the lead artist of the band. And at that time, you know, especially when bands have multiple vocalists, the sort of go-to conversation is always that the band need to push the vocalist, and then people start comparing. They say the band pushing that vocalist more than the other one. And when the band asked me to be the vocalist, first thing I said was, I have to change that narrative. I want to be the one that's pulling the band rather than the band pushing me. I think as the artist, the front man, people coming to see me, and the guys behind me, their job is to play the music very well. And one thing with Signal Band is, the guys in the band, they don't really crave attention. They just really love music, and to them, like, playing the music the right way and making the music is the fun part for them. They don't care for the fan pictures, they don't care for the fame, they don't care for all of that. And there was a point where they just felt like, okay, the brand is now Shelly and Signal Band. And that doesn't change the fact that I Breathe always represents Signal Band. But what it does is establishes a highlight point that Shelly is the superstar, quote unquote, and the band is the musicians. But as a brand, you know, it's a brand slash company on the business side. We represent Signal Band, and without Signal Band, I am nothing, you know, and how to say it, Signal Band is the big pond, and I am just a part of it, but just being the one that's saying, hey, I'm the image, I'm the face, and putting up my hand and pulling the band forward.
A pause for the ones who are gone. Souls in the sky and bodies in the ground. You know, after daddy I can take another one. So
when we started back when we were about like 14 years old, that's when we started Signal Band. I was 14 in full form. That's a lot of cues about my age, but I'm a young man. Either way, when we started the band, I remember we were shying away from bouyon. We literally said that we didn't want to be a bouyon band. We wanted to be a soca band. I can remember those conversations in the summer as teenagers, doing nothing in the summer but finding that they want to be a soca band. And I remember we were practicing the songs that we were practicing that summer before we did our first event on August 20th, 2010. We were practicing All Aboard and Pump Me Up and all these classics by Crossfire, you know, Edwin Yearwood and these guys. And that was our vibe, Alison Hines. That was what we were practicing. That's what we studied. And there was some point, I can't remember the exact date, you know I'm good with dates, but I can't remember the exact date when we said we're going to take on this bouyon thing. But I just know that it happened, it transitioned slowly, where we put up our hand again and take up our responsibility and said that we firstly thought about the reason why we were staying away from bouyon music. At that point, at that time, bouyon music was very chant heavy, and I personally felt like I was a singer. I felt like I didn't have a chanting voice. I came from singing calypso and about paros and dancing on stage, and I just felt like the chanting thing wasn't something for us. So we stayed away from the bouyon. But slowly but surely, we found a way that we could contribute to the genre. We found that we had some sort of lyrical craft that we could contribute to the genre, and if we feel like the genre is lacking in any way, then as artists, the most we can do is contribute what where we think it's lacking, look at those loopholes. So we looked at them, we thought about musicianship was being lost at some point, lyrics and melody was being lost at some point, and we came and we said, okay, that's all we're gonna do. And I remember we just came in singing little love vibes, baby come back, and this kind of, see? We were singing these kind of things, and it was funny at the time, we were young first of all. We had the interesting challenge of singing that kind of topic, but being teenagers, being 16, 17 and singing about baby come back and expecting a crowd of 45-year-olds to dance. Like, that wasn't happening. That wasn't happening, and we had our peers who were supporting the music after all, but in terms of going to perform in adult venues and all of that, we would be the first band to play. But even if there were people there, they would not dance because the connection just wasn't there. And we just stayed true to that. And until I think our age has something to do with it, we have become older, so people still kind of accept it, although a lot of people in Signal events are still about 10 years older than me, and most of the band members. But I think they have accepted that we stayed true to that style, of musicianship, lyrical craft.
That's my name.
I think it's all bittersweet because everything you listed, economically, the reach, protection has become easier, but it has also become easier for people to take advantage of your work, and sometimes you might find out years later. It has become easier for us to take advantage of other people's work too, even with some of the things that we do that we probably shouldn't be doing, sampling and remixing and all of that. We're taking risks. That's the reality, we are taking risks. And musicians are nice people. I think that's why we get away. I don't think it's that no musician in the world has ever heard that a bouyon genre has sampled their song. I think they've heard and they're like, let's allow them, man. I think some of them say, let's allow them. Some of them also look at the economic gain. I think they can tell. You can sometimes watch views and traction. You can go on Spotify, you can see how much followers and views a song has. And you can know how much an artist is gaining. And sometimes it's just not worth the fight, It's just not worth it, especially when you get to a certain level. So I think while it has gotten easier for us to, gain from our music, it has also gotten easier for us. For example, one of the biggest problems I have with digital streaming platforms and uploading my song is it's so easy for me to even upload my own song that I always think like, that means somebody else can just upload my song that easily. And all they're asking them is, I am the original creator, blah, 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 you just check a box. Nothing beyond that, no proof. And I always raise an eyebrow at that because it means somebody else can do the same thing. And I see it happening to other artists where other people upload their own music for them and they make money, so.
Cause all work and no play make Jack a dull boy. Any little misbehavior, blame it on the wrong boy. All day, taking people to stress, boy. Once I leave that place, and if we work together, you are just my co-worker. Well, what a fact! Take a little drop, everybody start to drop.
We went through some iterations. I mean, our first set of logos, I can't remember, they were designed a long time ago, well, at the time when we started, by some peers and friends, namely Inky for nickname and Dylan Green. And when we started to get a bit more serious about it, we looked at these logos and we found them a little funny at the time. And we said, okay, we need a serious logo, something that we can keep for the rest of the years and feel proud of. It has to be a bit ahead of its time. It has to be a bit futuristic because that was done about 10, 15 years ago. And our keyboardist, our rhythm keyboardist, Darren Green, is actually also a graphic designer. And at that time, he was just getting into graphic designing. And that was probably one of his first logos. He has done hundreds of them since then. He has done the Fantasy Tribe logo and all of these. But this Signal logo was one of his first designs. And we went through some iterations. We figured would want it to be, what it wanted to reflect, you know, get at least one symbol that was reflecting the word, you know, the signal, the Wi-Fi signal, and that was what it is. So big up Darren Green, he's a founding member of Signal Band as well. So yeah. We actually in a soft rebranding process as Shelly and Signal Band, and we met about changing this logo, and we felt that we're not going to. We actually have been adding Shelly to it in a smaller proportion. We talk about how, again, I think the Signal brand is bigger than me, you know, but we going down that road of slowly rebranding, so, but we keeping the Signal and we just adding the Shelly to it, yeah.
They love you when you're nice, so they can take advantage of your niceness. They love you when you're nice, so they can call your phone when they in crisis. When Laffy do, they just disappear. When things tight, they just reappear. Magic. Silly rabbit, tricks are for kids. All you always want and have nothing to give. Well, bye, 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 bye to the old me.
In that summer of 2010, we actually approached by a high school friend, Mosiah Challenger, and he said, I try to talk in his way. You should make a band, you know. Yeah, but he called Duns, the keyboardist. He called Duns and Darren are brothers. You know, I was a best friend of theirs at that time. We grew up like a few houses apart in Goodwill, and we were spending all of our summer days together. So as soon as he told them, naturally, I think he just came from the ear and just went to the mouth to tell me, and we just went together to Cross Street. You know, big up Namin Roll and Mr. Roll. That's where a lot of young bands started in Dominica and Cross Street, near West High School. We were practicing there for the entire summer. You know, other guys were called to come on board. Guys like Cocotet and Malika, our original drummer, Krabs. The band was different at that time. The three founding members that are here still are Darren, Donnell, and myself. And we started off then, and that's when we were practicing all the soca tracks. And at some point that changed, but the band, the core of the band, which is Darren, Donnell, myself, remained, and then our current drummer and bass guitarist came along about 10 to 11 years ago. So they've been there for the majority of our lifespan. And somewhere around 10 years ago as well, 12, Jelani became our manager, and Jelani was just our friend at the time that just heard us on the radio on Kyrie FM playing for Friday Dweevy for Krill Festival. And after he sent me a message, like, I want to talk to all you. I check him about what you know about nothing, like what you want to talk about. Like, you don't know anything about anything. So, that's honestly, that was my reaction at the time, and it was just, Jelani has always had a knack for management and being a boss, you know, and he wanted to talk to us about making sure that we earn a rightful income from something that we love, because that's a very easy mistake to make doing music. You know, music brings so much fulfillment that it's easy to not think of it as a livelihood. It's easy to say, okay, I'm going to apply to a job, do a 9 to 5, and then at 7 p.m. every day I'll do some music. Then you get tired, by 10 o'clock you knock out, next day again you go and work for somebody, and then the cycle runs, and then you wonder why you're not getting the most out of your music. You start blaming other people about why you're not getting the most out of your craft. And you know, Jelani is a sports, he's an athlete, and he always spoke about music and sports in parallel. That's how he brought the idea of transforming Signal into a mega business, you know, because he was just like, sports is a multi-billion-dollar industry, entertainment, music is a multi-billion-dollar industry, but the businessman, businesswoman is the individual themselves, and they have to make that conscious decision to transform their talent into some more money. Yeah. Yeah. It was an eye-opener, because at that time, managers of bands used to be successful businessmen and guys that already knew about money management, and we kind of learned this process with each other, because at that time we were all rookies. You know, Jelani started as a rookie manager, and we were rookie musicians, rookie artists, and we grew together, I think that's what made this bond stronger and made it what it is right now.
This is the only time of the year. Time of the year. I just forget that I living in a stressful country. So when you see my season come, just know I fed up. Don't bring all your problem in the fire.
For our first several years, we did everything by ourselves. What hasn't changed is that I still write about 98% of the music, the lyrics. So, and the 2% I don't write is literally when I go to the studio missing a line and I ask the band members to help me out. But I still write 98% of the songs. And it doesn't mean that I'm not open. I've received songs. You know, I'm very open to receiving songs. I have sung on songs that I didn't write as well. But I don't know, I take lyrical craft so seriously that I don't think anybody can make me say what they want to say. I always know what I want to say. I always know how I want to say it. And I just prefer to be, that my art is a reflection of me rather than somebody else. I take that very seriously. But for the musical aspect of things, I think one of the things we study music very deeply at Signal Band, and one of the things we saw was that bands over the years would have a consistent sound from their inception to their last day. And there are pros and cons to that. It's nice to say that, okay, this is my sound and this is this. But the con to that is really that you only get to appeal to the same audience every time you release a song. You know, you're not really opening the palettes and exploring the palettes of people that not really feeling that song. So you have to be willing to explore. And after some years, we sat down for ourselves and we said, we need to work for the producer. You know, we need to get other songs in. We use Kes for an example. You know, Kes has a band that is Kes the band, and that doesn't change. Kes hardly performs without his band. But when the music is created, the band members hardly create the music. They play the music, but Kes collaborates with so many different producers so that you can get a different feel of his sound through many different songs. So we took that on and we started collaborating with many different producers over the years. We have the Mask Man, you know, Little Boy. Many of them kind of come to mind. Freeze, you know, like. But these guys have helped shape the Signal song too, because we don't just take what they give us and go release it. We still put the Signal influence into it. But just because they lead in the project, or they start the project, or they come in at any time, we already get in a different, a unique vibe to it. I wish we'd do it in a more formal, professional way, but with us, a conversation is always hard. We always have something. For Signal members, we have a contract. We have a contract that governs the band, and every member knows when he contributes to a song, what he is owed. And for the lifetime of our music, the contract specifies who owns the exclusive rights to our music and all of that. But when we collaborate with particular producers, we have that conversation obviously one-on-one. I don't feel like it translates correctly, because I feel like it should also end with a contract, like the Signal Band contract. And that is one of the I don't want to say loopholes, but that is one of the disadvantages or the shortcomings of how we operate as a business. And it's something that I identify, and I just feel like we just need to change, you know? You know, we just have to change that. And yeah, we do the conversation, we have WhatsApp chats and all of that, but we need things that we can take to the court of law if anything happens.
The devil setting traps, will you fall for it? The devil setting traps for you, don't you fall for it? Just like when the signal on your Wi-Fi drop, it has come back stronger, stronger.
Earlier we spoke of how we started this a while ago, and the acceptance was hard at one point, and we stayed true to it. You know, I stayed true to my writing style. Yeah, I went to writing courses. I think naturally just going to school and just being educated is important. You know, I feel like it's often overlooked, but you know, it helps. I know it has helped me, and different things, seeing the world in different perspectives, you know, just being abroad as well. So many things contribute to the work that I do that it's hard to really pinpoint, okay, this is the formula. But I think what we have developed is a style that is rated E for everyone. I feel like when I see Signal fans and I see the demographics that we cover, like and see how wide that is, it amazes me. Because usually, you know, we have, when you build a fan base, you can pinpoint, you can say, okay, my fan base is this, my fan base is that. But it's hard to pinpoint for Signal Band. I see so many people of different walks of life supporting us, and the ages too, you know, from the babies that so starstruck when they see me, and, you know, and to the elderlies, you know, they see me and buy your love, and, you know. So, you know, I feel like because we have been able to cover that wide cross section, that in itself will make the style and that music live on, you know. So I don't think the challenge is going to be so difficult, to be honest. I think because the music has already been attractive to all these generations, different demographics, that already creates some sort of sustainability in its own self. And I just feel like we just have to keep it coming, you know, we just have to keep the inspiration, keep the mind open, you know, always be open to new things, because inspiration comes from everything, you know, every conversation, every a Netflix series, you know, a pet, anything. Like inspiration can come from anything, and you just have to really open your mind and be willing to take that chance, because I can say straight off, I would never sing Nasty Beans in my life, but I consume it. You know, I consume it, I am friends with the creators of it, and but I just know that my brand was built on something different. So even when I collaborate with them musically, they already know. I don't have to tell them. I don't have to tell them, yo, we gotta say this and whatever. Them I know the deal. Even when they come on my stage, they come on my truck, I don't have to tell them anything. You know that, and that's because they respect the brand that we have built, and I respect their brand as well, and it's so we're rolling. Yeah.
Woman and woman fighting for man.
They fighting for man.
Family still fighting for land.
They fighting for land.
Life too short to be stressing over small things. Thank you, Jaja, we wake up this morning. We not really here for a long time, so let we have a good time. While we passing, we just passing.
Well, you know, first of all, I'd like to thank the fans for supporting the music and for supporting Shelly, Signal Band, bouyon music as an entire genre. Over the years, I think right now we are seeing the most momentum that we have ever seen in the genre, and we need to capitalize on that, because as it comes, it goes, you know, and if you don't capitalize, you will be speaking about bouyon in the past tense, and that is my biggest fear. We don't want that to happen. So we have to keep on putting in that work. We have to keep on, not to be cliche, but we have to keep on protecting the work. You know, we have to really think about the long term. You know, let us iron out certain nitty-gritties about the creative work and the intellectual property while we are friends, and let's not try and do it when we're enemies, because that's the hard thing. That is the hardest thing to do, is try to make do when somebody already felt that you have wronged them. So, you know, it's better to, while we're creating and we all smiles, let's think about, okay, you know, you're making that contribution, it's very easy. It's always going to be a percentage out of 100. You know, it's always 100% that we have to split up between each other. So let us have that conversation and be honest about who contributed what and all of that. That is like the main advice, especially now, to any upcoming bouyon artists, even the pioneers, you know, have had challenges, and that's one of the reasons why we here now, because there is no blueprint, there is no musician that you could, I don't want to say there's no musician, but it's very fine for you that you could just walk up to a musician and ask him, tell me everything you know about intellectual property and copyright from your experience. Especially when you add it from your experience, you stick. You know, you stick. So we have to change that. Let us be the next generation. I've been doing my fair share of research on that, and you know, a long way to go still, but I at least want to be that change that I speaking of right now. other than that, you know, we're asking and encouraging young artists to build a brand, you know, build a brand and understand that with music, sports, entertainment, you are the brand. So you have to take care of yourself, you know, health important, you know, your spiritual being is important, physical being, your emotional being, your intellectual being, you know, read and open the mind and, you know, accept new challenges and don't get used to just doing the same thing over and over every year. Like, I cannot do it, you know, I cannot do it. That's why you'll see like every 2-3 years we just doing something different, whether it has to do with carnival or just our music, because I get bored very quickly. You know, I get bored doing the same thing over and over, and I always looking for what is the next step. So that constant evolution is important as an artist. You know, you see people like Marshall Montano and you wonder why did they stand the test of time. It's because they constantly redefine themselves. You know, they constantly redefine themselves, they constantly sought after new heights. So we have to not just stay within the circles that we are accustomed to. You know, we have to go out there and have the difficult conversations. We have to network with other artists. When you approach senior artists, it's not always about, hey, can I get a collab? Sometimes you have to approach a senior artist and just tell them, tell me everything you know. I don't want anything from you, I don't want $1, I just want knowledge. Knowledge is free, you know, knowledge on YouTube, TikTok, everywhere. But having the conversations with somebody that's senior is unmatched, you know, having the conversation and just asking them, tell me about your experience, tell me, equip me with all the tools, the intangible tools that I need right now to get to the next level. Like, these things are invaluable, and so that and the brand is very important, you know, staying true to the brand, you know, knowing who you are as a person, because in music there is two sides. There's the message and there's the messenger. And I think people get the message better when they can connect with the messenger. So I feel that's another reason why my music has been able to connect with all these generations, is because people connect with me as a person. You know, no matter how popular I've become, like I meet parents of my friends that I go to primary school and high school with, and they just be surprised that I remember them. I just be like, but what? I'm the same Sheldon Alfred, like, you know? Like, I just have a few more eyes and ears, you know, locked onto me, but I'm the same person. So staying true to you is very, very, very important. And that goes a long way for people to connect with anything that you do. Everything you do is kind of coming after who you are as a person.
I me by your love, I me by your love. Annie, 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 bio, 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 bio. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Don't forget the people that say they love you. Remember to remind them that you love them too. 'Cause love is the greatest gift you could give them.